Hi Christian, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I was a big fan of Ned's Declassified when I was younger, so it's cool to get to talk to you. And congrats again on the series. My first question, I was wondering if you could talk about one of there's a lot of heartfelt moments in the series, but I loved especially when the little girl comes up to Selena and gives her that lit up rose, saying how much it means to her to see like a woman look like her, like on stage doing something cool. So I wondering if you could talk about a little about obviously playing an icon like Selena, but also bringing who brought Latinx representation to women, like a whole generation. So if you could speak on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly why Selena meant so much to me. Being Mexican American, seeing somebody who was Mexican American who looked like me, I had that same experience when I saw Selena. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to play somebody so iconic and so powerful and so humble and gracious and loved. I'm grateful for that opportunity, and I'm also grateful for my daughter to see me play such a powerful, iconic Mexican woman.
Love that. And the benefit of like the series being a series versus like a movie is that you can like there's more time to draw out individual like storylines and characters, and we get to see it's just as much of a story of the Quintanilla family as it is just Selena. So I don't know if you talk about getting to showcase the other family members in the series, and it was like being like a whole family unit, not
Yeah,
just all Selena.
Selena was a family girl. She loved her family. She toured with her family. She created with her family. And I think it's really important, especially now, for people to see such a hardworking Mexican American family that's so relatable. There's such a huge Mexican American community. And I think this story has always resonated with us. So to see it again, um, or to see this version of the story being told for the first time is really incredible because we all know this icon, but we don't know much about her early years and her coming of age and her figuring out who she was going to be as an artist. Yeah, and I think her family was so innovative and so strong. Her brother being her producer and being so talented. I'm really excited to showcase all of that.
And specifically, like you mentioned, a Mexican American family. And in this series, she talks about how she doesn't like always having to pick a side, like her Mexican side, American side. So it's like bringing specificity to the Mexican American community, like specifically showing what's it like to be a Mexican American in the States.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really relatable for so many Mexican Americans, especially, it's what I grew up really admiring about their family. So I'm just really excited to tell that story. Yeah.
And the 80s and 90s weren't that long ago, but you got to travel back in time, get the costumes on, and the wigs. Do you have a favorite wig, or like, there's a favorite Selena look you got the dawn on, and what was that like? Just going back in time, if only for a little bit.
I did have a favorite wig. We had so many different hair looks, and I think even hardcore Selena fans are going to be really surprised by how many looks she had and how much she experimented. Um, she had this very long red hair at one point that was very permed, and I never wanted to take that off. I think it's the wig we also used least, but I it was my favorite.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Hey,
Hey,
Rafi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for taking the time out to talk to me. I know things are hectic, but it's nice to connect.
thank
So,
you.
my first question is for Gabriel. I know obviously the series is the focus is on Selena, but I feel like the benefit of the series versus like a movie is that it gets to flesh out like storylines and characters more because you have more time.
Mhm,
And this series is just as much a story about the Quintanilla family as it is just Selena.
mhm.
And we get to see AB like go through his family life. He starts his own family, and then he also has the pressures from Abraham and the rest of the band to like churn out hits. So I was wondering what's it like to just bring AB's story to life and get to play AB and get to be him on screen. It was a mouthful. I'm sorry.
Nah, that's fine. It was great, man. It was really really great to be able to play AB. I didn't know much about AB Quintanilla up until I started getting involved with the show. So when I got a chance to read the scripts and sit down with our creators and dive into AB's life. It's great. It's beautiful, and I feel honored that I was able to portray him. And you know, it's a big deal. He wrote a lot of Selena's hits, you know, if not all of them, and you know, it was something that I feel very, very honored to be chosen to play AB.
And same question for you, Ricardo. Abraham is like a legend in his own right, and he's like the foundation of the family, the discipline, kind of a hard ass, but he's also like the driving force behind a lot of the success. So what was it like to bring Abraham's story to life for the show?
You know, for me, this story holds a lot of significance. I am from South Texas. You know, I grew up with this story as part of my my environment growing up. You know, into young adulthood. Selena and I were born the same year, 4 months apart. I was in high school and college when she was, you know, having all of her successes. So, you know, to be able to bring Abraham to life was wonderful. You know, I drew from a number of different sources. You know, this story is part of my Mexican American community over there. You know, I am part of that community. My father, my tios. I mean, when I saw interviews that I looked at online of Abraham Quintanilla, I realized that it's like this is it's not that dissimilar from how my father acts and how my tios act, and sometimes how I act with my children. You know, because I am a little bit of an old school style parent.
Mhm.
You know, and it was just I really enjoyed it. I thrived in, you know, trying to obtain as much information and material as I could to be able to draw from to create I guess my own version of Abraham.
And speaking of family, what did it's still not often we get to see like these depictions of men and their sons, especially Mexican American men and their sons on screen. So I was wondering if you guys could like talk about your building that chemistry with each other and what it was like playing off each other to do Abraham and AB's relationship, especially because Abraham always asked a lot of AB throughout his life.
You mean like
You know,
oh,
Yeah.
you know what I did was I just started having Gabe do everything for me on set. You know, like, you know, bringing me food. I'd have him come over and clean up my garage. And just, you know, kind of clean up the kitchen after I'd done some cooking, make sure he washed the dishes and stuff. Put him in timeout a couple times if he was misbehaving. You know, we built the bond pretty quick. You know, he was a good study.
Yeah, no, we hit it off. We hit it off right away, as you can see.
Uh-huh. Well, it felt you could feel it off screen. I love that.
No, you know what? We started sharing with each other, communicating, telling each other stories about our families, and then that just layered everything for what we were doing on set. And he's a wonderful actor. You know, this was a wonderful ensemble. You know, our actors that are part of this family, and it's one of the best things I've ever been a part of.
Like I said, you could really feel it. It felt like a family. So,
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
That's great. Thank
That's
you.
all the time
Thank
I
you for
have
that.
left, but thank you
Okay.
guys again. Congrats. So, my first question is for Noemi. One of the benefits of like a TV series as opposed to like a movie is that you have more time to like flesh out characters and storylines that you normally wouldn't get to. And what I liked about Selena is even though obviously the series is focusing on Selena, it's as much of a story about the Quintanilla family as it is just Selena. And Suzette is like Selena's rock. She's her best friend. But then towards the end of the season, we also get to see like her develop her own little love story. So I was wondering if you could talk a little about what's it like just to bring Suzette's life and story to the screen, and what was it like playing her? And yeah.
Absolutely. It was so fun and so beautiful to get to create my interpretation of Suzette. She will always be the real Suzette that went through this experience. That will always be her true sister and best friend. And it was wonderful to get to have that experience and have a window of a day in the life as Suzette Quintanilla with Selena through Christian. It was such a blessing. And I would have to pinch myself over and over with the reality that I had this unique opportunity to be Selena's rock and to be Selena's best friend. And it was fun to learn the drums. It was fun to listen to her and try to recreate her as much as possible, and also have creative license where I saw the space that I could take that. It was beautiful, fun, creative, honorable opportunity.
Yes. And Sadie's same question for you. What was it like to bring Marcella's story to life, especially since she's the rock of the Quintanilla family. She's the mother, the matriarch, where Abraham has to be kind of the hard ass, kind of strict. You get to be more loving and yeah, so what was that like bringing her story to life?
It was very special because I feel that exactly. She was the foundation. She was that safe place for them to be able to go out there in the world and try and work hard and give their all, knowing that there will always be mom there, you know, to listen, to nurture them, to make them feel that they have a home, even when they were on the road, even away from home. She represented that. She represented that safe place and that family foundation. And so it was very special. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity.
And the series obviously brings a lot of representation for Latinx women. There's 2 points of the series where like 2 women, especially a little girl, comes up to Suzette and says, "I wish I could be a drummer too." And then that some girls still look up to Selena to this day. So it's like bringing like Latinx women's representation to the screen.
For sure, yeah.
It was incredible because specifically I had the blessing of, as you mentioned, being a representation for female musicians, for female drummers. You know, Selena has that experience as her own star force and that and more center stage, whereas there's a lot of women that are in bands that have a tough time being respected and being valued. So to show that Suzette's life story has had a profound effect on many young girls, Latinas, women, musicians, creatives, it really shows you that we can do it all, and we can do it with feminine divine and with a lot of sass and style.
Yes, come on, queens.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's all the time I have left, but thank you guys so much again. Congrats.
Thank
Can't wait for
you.
people to
Nice
see
to
it.
talk to you.